Hello, my name's Paul. I'm the Accidental Bookseller. Welcome to the channel. I'm doing a tag today, and it's the Perfection of Reading tag. I've been nominated by Alan at Alan's Reads, and this particular tag, the Perfection of Reading, was created by Lekden at A Rockin' Samsara. That's his ID on YouTube. I'll read you what Lekden says in the notes of Alan's version of the tag. Lekden's words for the tag are: the Tibetan Buddhist instruction to live a meaningful life is to try to live the life of a bodhisattva, a person or being who has totally dedicated their life to benefiting others. The six perfections, known as the pāramitās in Sanskrit, are six types of enlightened activity that make up the bodhisattva's conduct, which ordinary people are encouraged to try and realize in their own lives. This original book tag is celebrating those six and exploring how they might be reflected in our reading lives. The first prompt, of which there are six, the first prompt is the perfection of generosity, and that's: what is an experience of either book gifting or book receiving that was meaning or memorable for you? Well, in my 8 memories tag, I mentioned the George Best autobiography Signed, which my dad queued up and got for me, and whenever I see George Best's book on the shelf, I think of my dad. And a similar one is when my mum and dad came to stay when I lived down in the Midlands. Just spontaneously, he bought for me the Tour de France Miscellany. Beautiful book, loads of facts, nice tactile book to hold. And whenever I see it on the shelf, I think of my late father. It's just nice. He didn't buy me that many books over a period of my life, maybe 3 or 4. This is another one where I see it on my shelf and I think of my dad. The next question, next prompt, is the perfection of ethical discipline. What are your best and worst reading habits? I did write the answers to this one down, actually. Best reading habit is I don't DNF a book unless it's a total and absolute struggle. I've only ever DNF'd 3 books in my life. So even if I'm not liking it, I will persevere till I get to the end. My worst reading habit, it's not necessarily a negative, but I just regret not being able to read in bed. If I start reading in bed, I just start to fall asleep, and my eyes will keep moving, and I'll get to a certain page and I'm thinking, what's happened? And the previous 2 pages that I think I've read, I won't have read. And it's annoying. And it's quite unlike what I was like as a kid, because whenever I'd been told to go to bed when I was a kid, I'd stay up reading with a light under covers, and I was always delighted if I woke up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning before anyone was getting up, because that meant I'd have like an hour and a half, 2 hours of reading, particularly that was at weekends. But now, at whatever time of day, I can't read in bed. I can't watch telly in bed either. I'm the same, just fall asleep. So it's my worst reading habit, is that not being able to do it. Next one, number 3, the perfection of patience. What is a book that you anxiously waited for, and did it live up to the expectations you set for it? The one I've chosen for this one, for these different tags, I try and think of different books, because sometimes the tags can get a bit samey with the same books, but this was quite an obvious one, and this was Communion, A True Story, Encounters with the Unknown by Whitley Strieber. This was the very first book that I ordered in my life. I'd started work and I knew that this particular book was coming out, so I went to the City Bookshop in Lancaster and ordered it, and I was already anticipating it with great fervour already, but to have actually ordered it and to, the act of going to pick it up, I mean, it's probably commonplace for people during the life if you've ordered something to pick it up, but the first time you do it as an adult, and for a book that I was particularly looking forward to, basically it's Whitley Strieber's I guess, somewhat controversial book at the time about his experiences being allegedly abducted by greys. Do I believe it? Do I not? Not sure. I'm a real fence sitter on the subject. I think a lot of people don't, and there's obviously a lot of fabrication involved. Do I believe whether Whitley did? Again, just not sure. But it's an interesting story, be it fact or fiction. I thought the film was pretty poor, though, with Christopher Walken in. Number 4, The Perfection of Joyful Effort. What is a book or series that you found difficult to complete but found to be ultimately worthwhile? Now, this one I'm picking because it's easily the. I don't like saying books are bad, because obviously the author has put in a tremendous amount of work in producing it. But occasionally a book comes along that actually is, that you find so bad. Other people might like it, but this particular book, I struggled and struggled and struggled through it. It's only, minus the notes, it's only 210 pages long. So I thought I was going to whiz through it. But oh my God. It's Confessions of an English Opium Eater by Thomas de Quincey in the Wordsworth Classics series. And the reason it's just so difficult is, look at that. Those are the paragraphs. You probably can't see the sentences, but most often sentences can be 10, 12, 14 lines. And the punctuation is not very easy to understand within those particular sentences. So you're reading 10 or 12 lines and you're trying to actually understand the punctuation so you can understand the text. And then also, obviously, it's written a few years ago. When was it? 1821 it was published. So it was written a few years ago. So the actual style and content of the writing is going to be somewhat trickier anyway, because it's something that you're not used to. The older the books, quite often the trickier it can be to understand. But when you add in those 10 or 12 sentences with odd punctuation, every single sentence becomes a trial. But I carried on and carried on, got through it. Didn't get through it in the couple of days that I thought I would, because, like I say, it's really difficult. But I persevered and got through it, and I was happy that I did it. But it's still got a 1 on my Goodreads. Might be the only 1 vote that I've actually given on Goodreads. Number 5 is The Perfection of Concentration. What do you do, if anything, to get in a reading zone? What is your ideal reading environment? To get in a reading zone, I guess I just plan when I'm going to read. I don't tend to get moments where I spontaneously pick a book up to read, but I'll look forward to an hour a day, or might be half an hour, or there's particular moments when I know that I'm going to have spare to do it. Could be any time in the day. So yeah, planning is something that I do to get in. And then once you've planned, I'm in the reading zone. What is your ideal reading environment? I guess quiet. I think I said on the previous video that the older I get, the more I struggle with noise. I do get distracted quite easily. Not so much on a non-fiction book, but for a fiction book, I do like a modicum of quiet. I mean, it can't be absolute pitch perfect quiet, but I do prefer something where there's not any noise distractions. Recently, if outside is particularly noisy, or if I'm somewhere where there is a little bit of noise, I'll use air defenders, just thicker than average headphones that block out noise, and you can really get in a reading zone for doing that. They are somewhat uncomfortable because of the tightness, but you do forget about that once you're reading. If you'd have said years ago that I was going to do that, I'd have said you were silly. But like I said, the older I've got, the more intolerant for noise when trying to concentrate. The final question is the perfection of wisdom. What is a book where you learn something, especially something unexpected, whether profound or mundane? So the book that I've chosen for this one is The Diary of a Bookseller by Sean Bythell. You know, when you go on Amazon and there's the second-hand section, the marketplace, and you've got various prices, and they might be, a particular book might be £3.24, or it might be £17.32, and then it might be so rare that it's like £147.46. Now, I can't speak for all of Amazon or every book, but from reading this, it appears that much of that price setting is automatic. Thinking about it, it seems a little bit obvious now. So when I read this a few months ago, the author does write about his exploits of putting stuff on Amazon as well, because Sean Bythell owns the bookshop in Wigtown. It's called the Bookshop, and I think it's classified as the biggest second-hand bookshop in Scotland. And it is a big shop. It's quite deep, goes back quite far, and he also sells online as well. So it's written as a diary, as it obviously says, the diary of a bookseller, and he'll go through what is sold on a particular day in a comical type way, but also talk about what's sold online and the difficulties when he sells something online on finding it in the shop to post. But he also talks about pricing at one stage. And yeah, there was a fact in there that the pricing of the books are not necessarily set by the booksellers for that particular price. There is a degree of automatic control. I don't know if it's an algorithm. I don't know how it all works, but yeah, that's the mundane fact in this particular tag question. I should also add that even though this book is good and I recommend it, I'm not a particular fan of Sean Bythell. He does come across as quite grumpy and impolite in this, where he mocks various customers, and yeah, he's just generally grumpy. And I have had a personal experience of him as well. I was in Wigtown in his shop. It was during the Wigtown festival. And as I said, the shop goes back, and there's a number of rooms for different genres going back in towards the depths of the building. And towards the middle of the building, there's quite a big staircase. And on the staircase, on each of the steps, there's books going up to as far as you can see, and then the staircase turns and there's the floor above. I didn't know, because I'd never been in the shop at that stage, I didn't know that the bookshop was only on the bottom floor. Given the books were on each stair on the staircase going up halfway, I just figured, okay, there might be another area upstairs, because it didn't. I can't recall seeing a "Do not enter beyond this point," but I did, and it was during the festival, and I walked up the bookcase, up the staircase, looked at the various books, turned the corner, went up the remaining stairs, expecting another room with books in. And the author's there, Sean Bythell, with a number of other people. There's some kind of like entertainment going on connected to the festival. And it was just the way that he spoke to me in terms of saying that, oh, it's a private event. And it wasn't nasty, but it was quite short and ill-tempered. And I'd made a genuine mistake because I'd never been before. And with all those books on the staircase, how was I not to know that there was nothing upstairs? And the grumpy nature of the interaction with him fitted the grumpy nature of him in the book. So yeah, I haven't really taken to him. I have got the second in the series because like I say, it is a genuinely decent book and interesting about bookselling, of which I'm involved in to various degrees. But yeah, a bit of a dislikable character in my opinion. So there we are. I think that's quite a quick tag today compared to some of the tags that I've done and rambled on about recently. I think I've rambled on a bit, but it's been a short one. Thank you for watching. Very much appreciate you taking some of the time out of your day to watch a video that I've created. If you'd like to see more, by all means click like, click subscribe. It really would mean the world to me. Again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.